Mm, and I found love for me. Darling, just dive right in and follow my lead. Well, I found a girl, beautiful and sweet. Well, I never knew you were the someone waiting for me. 'Cause we were just kids when we fell in love, not knowing what it was. I will not give you up this time. Darling, just kiss me slow. Your heart is all I own, and in your eyes you're holding mine. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the grass, listening to our favorite song. When you said you looked a mess, I whispered underneath my breath, but you heard it. Darling, you look perfect tonight. दिल मेरे तू है एक बंजारा, जाने ना तू क्यों फिरता आवारा. दिल मेरे तू है एक नकारा, माने ना तू क्यों किस्मत का मारा. क्या हासिल इस जहां में खुद को जाने ना तू. दिल क्या सच और क्या फसाने, ले दिल मुश्किल खुद को समझाना. जाने ना तू क्यों बन के अनजाना है बदनाम. पल वो मेरे गुजरे थे जो कल में तेरे किरदारों में उलझा उलझा जग सारा. गर्दिश में चमके वो टूटा तारा. हो हो na 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 na.
Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Raga Sessions. I'm your host Ankita, and today we have with us Uday Manhas. Uday has been a prominent name in the music circuit for quite some time now, and I must say it has been quite a journey from jamming out in reclusive college music rooms to performing for a crowd of over 2,000 people at the Food Truck Festival. Uday, thank you so much for being with us in the studio today. We're so glad to finally have you on lockdown here, despite your busy schedule.
Thank you so much for calling me in. It's always a pleasure to interact with the college crowds, and it's from where I belong right now. So it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for calling me up here.
Okay, thank you so much for being here, and we'll get right down to it. So, my first question for you is singing as a career. Was it a childhood dream or did it just evolve?
Singing for me was something which came out of my instincts. right down from listening to Celine Dion cassette on a Walkman while I was in my 4th grade, and watching this movie called Stuart Little, the title track I Can Fly High. Basically, those two songs are what injected me to listening more of the tracks. Then obviously the artists and the genres keep evolving, and that is how I sort of approach this music theory. It's all constant shooting from the hip, and nothing is framed out.
So you've never had any formal training whatsoever?
Till now, I've not. No.
So you're a self-taught vocalist.
Yes.
That's quite amazing. So if you've never had any formal training, who was your musical inspiration while you were growing up?
Well, it's all. I think the digital age helped me a lot to maybe learn myself.
YouTube, internet. Right?
Yeah, when you don't exactly have any like a proper Western teacher or a vocal trainer, and because they're too expensive at times, then maybe listening to a YouTube track maybe 80 to 85 times a day,
Wow.
or even more than that, then you start remembering the song line by line. You start practicing it out with people and your mates, and then you just jam it out. So for me, it's been like very raw. Nothing. It's been like, Acha, I have to learn this note, I have to go by this approach. It's just whatever comes inside me, I try to blurt it out. And okay, you can see that it's I've been sort of now using this approach, and it has been working out for me till now.
So how do you practice? I mean, do you practice alone? Do you have somebody to practice with you?
So basically, it's a very weird method to practice out, but I basically keep myself confined in a room. I listen to the track, and then I repeat after the track. And then I keep going from wall to wall, to and fro,
Singing
like a
from here to
pendulum.
there, yeah.
And I keep blurting out. I keep singing, and maybe when I'm walking down the lane and I see क्योंकि कोई आसपास कोई है नहीं and no one's there, then I start singing out there itself. So there's no particular time to practice out, but whenever I feel like, I just sing out.
So what do you think makes a good jam session as an artist, especially when you practice?
Well, a good jam session would be when you're jamming with your mate and suddenly one of us starts laughing because.
So that doesn't get distracting.
No, it gets distracting, but it's good that it's distracting because we are laughing. That means it is coming out good. It starts off with a smile, basically, so, अच्छा आ रहा है, and then we're smiling off. And then in between a jam, when it's coming out too good, then we start laughing. And so the basic indication is when these sort of laughs come in too frequently in between a jam, we know that we're sounding good. So in the end, we are all quiet. Every laugh has been laughed out. So that's how we do it.
So when you're, say, performing in front of a crowd, what goes on through your head? Do you get stage fright, nerves?
Yeah, I used to get stage fright a lot. In fact, I used to stutter a lot when I was.
Really?
Yep. And what started happening was I started taking speech therapies, but that did not work for me. So music came in like a healing factor to that. Now the thing is कि I feel comfortable on stage, but while talking to people after that, I get a bit nervous. But when I'm singing out in front of people, I usually try to look into their eyes, and they're happy, and they're getting like they are getting this moment of bliss, and that is how I enjoy singing as well.
That's actually very brave. You're looking into their eyes. So what if you make a mistake?
Well, if I make a mistake on stage, then it's usually not.
Does the audience get to know? Have you ever had some experience?
Before making a mistake, I usually know that I'm about to make a mistake after 5 seconds. So I prepare myself for that. I usually repeat the part before that lyric, and if in case I'm not able to repeat the part or it's getting too repetitive, then I usually make up lyrics on the spot. And I make that up in such a manner that it rhymes, but in case you would hear it out very instinctively, then you would probably know that those are making no sense at all.
So what about the instrumentalists? What about them? Like, how do they cope with the mistake you just made?
They are playing a basic rhythm structure. They're playing a basic chord pattern. So basically, there's nothing technical to that. what they do is, see, they know I've been making a mistake, and if I'm singing anything else, just out of my instincts, I tell them to keep on playing. It's just like I give them this sign, and they're like, okay, looping, 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 and then when I give them this, it means okay, okay, stop. That's how we deal it on the stage.
So they've never criticized you because of this.
After the stage, they go up and beat me, but okay, it's fine.
So who has been your biggest critic till date, apart from yourself?
My biggest critic,
Yes.
probably I would say the people, my fellow musicians who are in the circuit right now. I look up to a lot of people, and it's a very, I mean, this journey starts off on a very high note, and the thing, some people like Sangeeta Bhattacharya, Taisha Kohli, Zach, those are the people who were judging me a year back in a competition, and it felt good to be sharing stages with the same people after a year. So it feels
So
good.
they give you constructive criticism.
Yeah, they give me a lot of plus they have been like, Sangeeta has been the biggest influence for me because she is a Berkeley pass out, and she has had a lot of exposure to performances and stuff. So every time I watch her on the stage, it's not even the singing, but also how she swings her body up and down, and how she relates with the songs.
Interacts with the crowd.
So I just like, probably singing is not only the thing, you have to be dynamic on all forms. So that is how it works.
So what till date has been your most memorable experience in, while performing?
Well, it just happened around about 2 or 3 weeks back that I was singing in a very good venue called the Piano Man Jazz Club.
Yes.
And I had this opportunity to sing out Perfect by Ed Sheeran, and I was singing along. I did not know that there were two girls on the top corner who were actually crying when they listened to that track. And after they came down to me and they said, okay, we felt really emotional and you sang really good that we sort of cried. So I felt really, I actually, उस time नहीं पता चलता how do you respond to people. It's like it's better off being quiet. Yeah.
So you mentioned Ed Sheeran. So who has been your biggest musical inspiration so far?
I would say Ed Sheeran, John Mayer, and probably Mohit Chauhan, and all those people who did not have the resources to take proper training, but maybe taking music out from simple life observations. If you have listened to Mohit Chauhan songs, then he's also not had any formal training anywhere.
Yeah, that's very astonishing given his vocal range.
Exactly. So what usually happens is like you don't have to train. You have to be confident enough to perform on the stage, and then your performance is your training. You don't have to train before you perform. You are training while you are performing. So you are reforming. You're breaking down every step. Through every performance, you're learning something. You're being criticized for a previous performance, but then obviously you're going to be appreciated for some performance else. So you got to have the guts for that. Yeah, so that works out.
That's great. So what about while you were growing up? Who was your biggest musical inspiration then?
Childhood, I told you, I listened to Celine Dion a lot, and then usually it came down to Backstreet Boys,
Of course.
the Venga Boys, all the artists with boys in the end. And
The boy bands were pretty famous then.
yeah, at a time I started listening to also in the Indian industry, I listened to A.R. Rahman. His tracks are very soulful and stuff. So yeah.
So is there any song yet that has spoken to you more than any other song that is out there? You relate to it. Is there any such song?
Yeah, there's a track called You Need Me Man, I Don't Need You.
By Ed Sheeran,
Yeah.
yes.
So that track is basically how it's better to be a underdog rather to be a champion. It's good to be an underdog, to stay quiet and not be very fancy with stuff. Keep on learning with a straight pace, and you don't have to be very much good with your dresses and stuff. You just need to be good with your content, and rest things are going to obviously follow. You just need to have a lot of patience.
So not a lot of show off. It's just
Exactly.
content is what
Exactly.
matters.
Yeah, I live on my content, so exactly.
Okay. So thank you so much for
Means a lot.
joining us today, Uday. It has been amazing having you here.
It means a lot. Thank you so much for calling me up here. It's been a pleasure to be interviewed by you guys. Thank you.
As for our viewers out there, please subscribe to his YouTube channel. If you haven't, what are you even doing? And tune in next week. Don't forget to tune in next week. We have a very special surprise coming in for all of you. Thank you.